They say secrets have a way of coming to light, no matter how deeply they're buried. In the upscale neighborhood of Silver Pines, whispers of scandal ripple through champagne galas and boardroom meetings alike. Ava Harrington, a brilliant businesswoman on the brink of sealing a multi-million-dollar deal, is pregnant with her first child. Yet behind the glow of impending motherhood lies a devastating betrayal. Her husband's mistress, Rachel Monroe, has spun a tangled web of deceit involving another baby, one that might not even exist. In this twisted saga of ambition, betrayal, and revenge, the truth will shake them all to their core. Ava Harrington had it all, or so it seemed. At just 31 years old, she was a rising star in the world of tech startups. Her calm poise at board meetings belied an unyielding determination that had gotten her where she was today. She had the adoration of her colleagues, the trust of her investors, and a singular devotion to building products that would change lives. It certainly didn't hurt that she had a handsome, devoted husband, James Harrington, whose charm and easy smile opened doors for them in the city's most elite social circles. They lived in a tastefully furnished penthouse in Silver Pines, with gleaming marble floors and floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out on the city's skyline. From her home office, Ava would often place calls to investors in the early mornings, while James snoozed in bed, exhaustion from his late-night social engagements catching up to him. Ava often teased that James was her official social director, the face who mingled with potential partners while she handled the strategic nuts and bolts. It was a partnership that seemed to work, until now. That crisp September morning, Ava looked out at the sunrise, her hand reflexively resting on her growing belly. She was 5 months pregnant, and although she felt nauseated by the stress of her deal negotiations, she kept reminding herself of the joy that was on the horizon, the birth of her first child. With that thought in mind, she put on her most professional maternity outfit and headed downstairs to share breakfast with James. She found him sitting at their glass-topped dining table, flipping through messages on his phone. His hair, dark and glossy, was slightly disheveled. A half-eaten piece of toast rested beside a cup of black coffee. He looked up at her with tired eyes. "Hey, honey," he said with a tight-lipped smile. Ava noticed the worry lines that creased his forehead. He'd been stressed lately, more than usual. Ava kissed his cheek. "Morning. How's everything?" She tried to sound cheerful, but she sensed something was off. A moment of silence passed between them, during which James turned his phone face down on the table. "Oh, you know," he began, rubbing his temples. "Usual work drama, and I might be stepping away for a bit. I got a text from Rachel last night. She's, going through something." Ava froze mid-sip of her orange juice. The name Rachel Monroe was familiar. She was James's college friend, someone who seemed to appear sporadically in their lives. Rachel had once been an actress, an aspiring star who'd never quite gotten her big break. She lived in a modest apartment downtown. She'd pop up at parties to flaunt a new role or share stories of almost stardom. Ava had never seen her as a threat, just another person in James's wide circle of acquaintances. But something in James's tone that morning sent a prickle of unease along Ava's arms. "Is she all right?" "She's just in some trouble." She didn't say much, just that she needed to talk. Might be financial or who knows with Rachel. "I'm meeting her for a quick coffee." He paused, eyes flicking down. "I'll be back to help you prep for your big pitch, though." Ava pressed her lips together, the feeling of foreboding intensifying. But she reminded herself that James was simply being charitable. He had a big heart. He couldn't stand to see friends in distress. She forced a small smile. "Thank you. I'll need your advice when I rehearse my final pitch. We're flying to San Francisco next week, so everything has to be in top form." James exhaled, relief coursing through him at her acceptance. He rose to his feet, drained his coffee, and grabbed his jacket. "I'll see you in a bit." After he left, Ava tried to refocus on the day's tasks, finalizing the investor deck, coordinating with her legal team, and ensuring that her staff at Ava Tech was prepared for the next round of negotiations. Yet the taste of worry lingered. Little did she know that everything she believed about her life, her marriage, her soon-to-be perfect family, was about to come crashing down. The seeds of betrayal had already been sown, and the mistress's twisted game was only just beginning. An hour later, James sat across from Rachel Monroe in a quiet corner of the Cozy Bean Cafe. Morning light streamed through the windows, illuminating Rachel's face. She had lost weight since the last time he saw her, cheekbones sharper, eyes lined with fatigue. And yet there was still something alluring about her appearance. Maybe it was the habit she had of tilting her head just so, or the way she played with the ends of her honey blonde hair. James found himself distracted by the tension in her voice. She had asked him there for a reason, and the reason was evidently far from pleasant. As a server set down 2 cappuccinos, Rachel leaned in, her gaze darting about as if she were wary of eavesdroppers. "I'm pregnant, James," she blurted. He blinked, mouth hanging open in shock. "Wait, what? How?" She forced a trembling smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We had that night a couple of months ago," she said softly. "Remember? Your fight with Ava. You texted me. We ended up at that bar. One thing led to another." James's chest constricted. He did remember the fight with Ava, but he also remembered his drunken regret the next morning. However, this revelation, pregnancy, was something he couldn't have anticipated. Suddenly, his heart drummed against his ribs as he thought of Ava, pregnant as well, expecting their child. How could he have been so reckless? Rachel placed a hand on his. I don't know what to do. My career prospects are bleak. I'm barely scraping by. And a baby. This changes everything." She feigned vulnerability, tears glistening in her eyes. James felt his stomach churn. He swallowed hard, feeling the full weight of guilt crash over him. "Rachel, I'm so sorry. Are you sure it's mine?" Her eyes flashed. "What are you implying?" She let out a shaky breath. "I haven't been with anyone else in months. It's definitely yours." He ran his hand through his hair. "I'm married, Ava's pregnant too, and she's under so much stress with this deal. He trailed off, not knowing how to continue. The words he wanted to say, "This is impossible," died in his throat. Rachel sniffled. "I understand. It's complicated, but I can't do this alone." She lowered her eyes, letting tears fall, hoping to elicit his sympathy. "I've thought about other options, but I just can't. Please don't abandon me." James felt as though the walls of the cafe were closing in. Panic rose. He couldn't leave Ava, and yet how could he walk away from Rachel if she was truly carrying his child? His mind whirled with scenarios, each one more disastrous than the last. "Don't worry," he whispered, though his voice shook. "I'll take care of it. I need some time to figure things out. But I'll help you, financially or otherwise." Rachel reached for his hand again. "Thank you. I knew you'd understand." He quickly withdrew his hand, glancing around to ensure no one recognized them. "This can't get out," he said, voice low. "Not now, not ever. I'll see what I can do." She nodded, biting her lip. The moment he left, a sly smile spread across Rachel's face, a grin that revealed the cunning beneath her delicate exterior. As she sipped her cappuccino, her mind raced with possibilities. She knew James would do anything to keep this secret, and if he failed, she would ensure that Ava and the rest of the city knew his indiscretion in its most lurid detail. Because in truth, Rachel Monroe was not pregnant at all. This was her master plan. She had always wanted the good life, the wealth, and the prestige that had eluded her, and if she had to spin a baby lie to secure it, so be it. Rachel told herself she deserved more from this world. She deserved to be a star, and now she would have her chance, no matter who got hurt along the way. Ava, meanwhile, was powering through a high-stakes meeting at Ava Tech's main office. She sat at a long, sleek table surrounded by her core team, Daniel Rodriguez, head of operations, Stephanie Nguyen, lead developer, and Martin Lee, chief financial officer. Their laptop screens glowed with charts, prototypes, and figures detailing the next phase of Ava Tech's expansion. Outside the glass-walled conference room, staff moved with purposeful haste. The entire office buzzed with excitement. The potential partnership with the global venture capital giant, Sonora Ventures, was the talk of the tech scene. If Ava nailed this deal, Ava Tech would receive an infusion of capital that would catapult them to the forefront of their industry. Some rumored the investment could be worth up to $50 million, an astronomical sum that few female-led startups managed to secure at such an early stage. Ava's phone vibrated at her elbow. She glanced at the screen, expecting a message from James offering a last-minute pep talk. Instead, it was from an unknown number. "Hi, Ava. We've never met, but we share something in common. James. I need to speak with you urgently about him." Her brow furrowed. She considered ignoring it. She had more pressing matters to attend to, yet a chill ran down her spine. Could it be some scammer? Or someone from James's social circle with ill intentions? She took a quick breath and decided to focus on her business first. She slid the phone to silent mode, determined not to let anything derail her. "Right, as we were discussing," Ava said, turning back to the group with unwavering composure. "Our product demonstration in San Francisco will be crucial. Stephanie, do we have the final user interface updates ready for presentation?" Stephanie nodded, flipping her laptop around to display a sleek and intuitive design. "This is the new interface. We've tested it with a pilot group, and user satisfaction jumped by 30%. The feedback is overwhelmingly positive. Easier navigation, more robust features. If we showcase these improvements, we'll emphasize how forward-thinking AvaTech is." Daniel chimed in, tapping a spreadsheet projected on the wall. "We've also run the numbers on potential user growth. With Sonora's backing, we could expand into Europe within a year. This is truly game-changing for us." Ava nodded, pride swelling in her chest. "That's fantastic. We need to highlight these stats. Martin, can you refine the financial projections by tomorrow? I want the pitch deck airtight before we board that plane." He gave a thumbs up. "I'll have it ready, boss." The meeting concluded on a triumphant note. As her team departed, Ava remained, staring out the window at the skyline. Exhaustion tugged at her. She was juggling an upcoming childbirth, corporate growth, and her own swirling emotions about James's recent distant behavior. Picking up her phone again, she reread the mysterious text. Something told her not to dismiss it. She typed a quick reply. "Who is this? And what do you need to tell me about James?" Within minutes, the reply came. "Names withheld for now. I have proof he's been unfaithful, and you deserve to know the truth. Meet me at the Yellow Rose Diner at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Come alone." Her heart pounded. Unfaithful? She dismissed the idea instantly. James could be flighty with his social life, but infidelity? She doubted it. This must be a hoax, she tried to convince herself. Yet the seed of doubt was planted. Why else would James have been acting so strangely? Still, Ava was no fool. She'd built her empire by trusting her instincts, and her instincts told her there might be more to this text. After all, she had noticed a shift in James's demeanor, the late-night phone calls he would excuse himself to take, the anxious glances at his phone. Even his attempts to be overly supportive felt forced, as if he were compensating for something. She stood and pushed the thought aside. Right now, she needed to focus on the greatest deal of her career. She would meet this mystery person tomorrow, but she would not let it derail her. If there was a scandal, she'd handle it in due time. Yet she couldn't shake the feeling that her world was on the cusp of a seismic shift, one that might threaten everything she'd worked so hard to build. That evening, while Ava was finishing up a call with her attorney, James slipped into their apartment, looking more disheveled than ever. He carried the weight of the supposed pregnancy scandal on his shoulders. He couldn't erase Rachel's pleading eyes from his mind, nor the terrifying possibility that she might ruin his marriage if she didn't get her way. As he set his keys on the kitchen counter, he found Ava reviewing documents in the living room. Her feet were propped up on an ottoman, a pregnant woman's attempt at comfort after a long day. She glanced up and forced a smile. "Hey," she said quietly. "Long day." "You have no idea." He set down his bag and joined her. "Work's been complicated, and I'm sorry I wasn't here to help with dinner." She shrugged. "I ordered takeout. There's some leftover pad thai if you're hungry." Then she cleared her throat, fiddling with the pages in front of her. "James, is there something you want to tell me?" He stiffened. She knows, he thought. But how? Had Rachel already gone behind his back? Was the text that Ava received from Rachel or an associate of hers? A dozen scenarios ran through his mind, each more catastrophic than the last. What do you mean?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "I just got a strange text earlier. Someone claiming you were unfaithful." Ava studied him intently, searching for any sign that might confirm or deny these allegations. I told them I didn't believe it, but I need to hear you say there's nothing to it. His heart hammered. Of course not, he managed. It must be some crazy person trying to stir up trouble. She looked relieved for a moment, but that relief was quickly replaced by skepticism. I'm meeting them tomorrow just to put it to rest. James's eyes widened. You're meeting this random person? Are you sure that's wise? Ava leaned back against the couch, crossing her arms. I'm not sure of anything right now, except that I need clarity. I won't let anything derail my deal next week, but I also refuse to be blindsided. If there's a threat to our family, I need to know. James reached for her hand, intertwining his fingers with hers. He felt an urge to confess everything, to beg her forgiveness, but his words stuck in his throat, strangled by fear. If Ava found out now, it could end her entire relationship with him and possibly cause enough emotional turmoil to jeopardize her big negotiations. So he said what he believed he had to. There's nothing to worry about, he reassured, gently squeezing her hand. I promise. Someone's just trying to sabotage us. She studied him, the faint lines of worry around her eyes deepening. I hope you're right, she whispered, giving him one last searching look before releasing his hand and turning her attention back to her paperwork. Meanwhile, James's phone buzzed in his pocket. He hurried to check it, stepping away from Ava's line of sight. It was Rachel again. I want to see you. Bring money. Prenatal appointments are expensive. If you don't show, I'll figure something else out. His jaw clenched. He slid the phone back into his pocket, feeling a bead of sweat trickle down his neck. There was no turning back now. He was caught in a web of his own making, forced to lie to the woman he truly loved to keep her from discovering the darkest mistake of his life. All the while, he continued to remain oblivious to the full extent of Rachel's cunning, that her pregnancy was nothing more than a calculated scheme to exploit his desperation. Their apartment felt colder that night. Although Ava was only a few feet away, James had never felt more distant from her. As he drifted off to sleep, he feared that the warmth of their marriage was slipping through his fingers, replaced by secrets he wished he'd never been foolish enough to create. The following evening found Ava stepping into the bustling environment of the Yellow Rose Diner. The place was a neighborhood staple, known for its greasy burgers and neon sign that flickered like a beacon in the night. It was far from the polished ambiance she was used to, yet she felt a surge of determination. She wasn't here for the decor. She was here for the truth. She scanned the rows of booths until she spotted a figure in the far corner. The man waved her over, a baseball cap pulled low over his face. He appeared nervous, glancing around as though expecting to be followed. Ava slid into the booth across from him. I'm here, she said curtly. Now tell me who you are and what you know about my husband. He lifted his head, revealing haunted eyes. My name is Carl Henderson. I work with Rachel Monroe. We've had a falling out. He twisted his hands, looking like he wished he could vanish. She has me do odd jobs for her sometimes, but recently I stumbled on something bigger. Ava's heart thudded. Bigger? What are you talking about? Proof. Evidence that your husband's been meeting her in secret. I have photos, texts, enough to show there's something going on. His voice trembled. I tried going to James directly, but I heard rumors you're the one with real power in that household. And given you're pregnant, I thought you deserved to know what's happening. Ava felt her stomach twist. Even though James had insisted everything was a lie, she couldn't deny the gnawing dread that maybe, just maybe, there was some truth to it. Show me. Carl fumbled with his phone, pulling up a series of snapshots. The images showed James entering Rachel's apartment building, leaving at odd hours, sometimes carrying grocery bags. Another picture captured them seated together in a cafe, Rachel's hand draped over his. As Ava scrolled, her grip on the phone tightened. Dates and timestamps proved these weren't from years ago, but from recent weeks. She swallowed hard, feeling bile rise in her throat. Why are you showing me this? What do you want? Carl shifted uncomfortably. I want to do the right thing. Rachel is plotting something bigger than just having an affair. She's told me she wants to fake a pregnancy to extort money from James. She's done this kind of con before, but never on someone with your kind of resources. She brags she's going to land the jackpot. He sighed, looking genuinely troubled. I'm telling you because I don't want to be part of her game anymore. She's dangerous. Ava's chest tightened. She thought of her unborn child, of the deal she was about to close, of everything she stood to lose if this scandal went public. You mentioned you had texts? Carl opened another file, showing text messages between Rachel and an unnamed contact. Although the contact number was James's, the messages showed mostly Rachel's side of the conversation. Demands for money, references to doctor visits, repeated mentions of a baby. Ava closed her eyes, her mind spinning. James hadn't just been meeting Rachel. He'd apparently been giving her money, believing she was pregnant. For a moment, Ava's anger burned so bright she found it hard to breathe. How could he have lied to her face? But she couldn't afford to break down. Too much was at stake. She needed to think clearly. If what you say is true, why haven't you gone to the police? Carl grimaced. Rachel hasn't done anything strictly illegal yet, just extortion threats, and she'd deny it if confronted. Besides, my involvement in her previous schemes doesn't paint me as innocent. I wanted to reach out to you to see if maybe you could protect me somehow. You have influence, power. I just want to do the right thing and walk away. Ava studied him. He looked earnest, maybe even frightened. She wasn't sure if she fully trusted him, but the evidence on his phone was damning. All right, she said softly, pushing the device back. Forward everything to me. I'll consider my options. For now, if Rachel contacts you, act as though nothing has changed. Understood? He nodded, relief crossing his features. Understood. They exchanged contact information, and Ava left the diner with her emotions in turmoil. Her suspicions had been confirmed. James had lied to her face. Rachel Monroe was not only his mistress but also a con artist, orchestrating a fraudulent pregnancy to extort him. In the back seat of her chauffeured car, she stared at the blurred city lights through the window. She was 5 months pregnant, about to secure the deal of a lifetime, and now she had to confront the reality that her husband might be a spineless cheat. Part of her wanted to march home and scream at him, demand answers and throw him out. But another part, her business mind, told her to wait, to plan strategically. She needed to protect her company and her unborn child. An emotional explosion might hand Rachel precisely what she wanted. So she simply closed her eyes, letting one tear slip down her cheek as she realized the life she thought she had might have been a lie all along. That same night, Rachel Monroe sauntered into her modest apartment with a sense of victory humming through her veins. She'd just left a meeting with James, who reluctantly handed her a wad of cash under the guise of pregnancy expenses. It was laughable how easy it had been to prey on his guilt and fear. Her apartment was a mismatched array of old furniture, half-finished art projects, and empty takeout containers. It was a far cry from the lavish penthouse she believed she deserved. Tossing the cash on her coffee table, Rachel pulled off her coat and sank onto the sofa. She flicked on a lamp, which cast a warm glow over a corkboard filled with pinned photos, snapshots of James, articles about Ava Harrington and Ava Tech, even pictures of the Harringtons' extravagant penthouse. It was a vision board of sorts, her roadmap to finally elevating her life from a has-been actress to someone with real wealth and status. A cackling laugh escaped her lips as she thought of James's frantic face. He was in so deep now. He believed her wholeheartedly, convinced that she was carrying his child. She had expected him to push back, perhaps demand a paternity test, but James was too paralyzed by guilt and too worried about Ava's reaction to take that step. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Rachel's stomach dropped. She rarely had visitors, especially at this hour. Rising cautiously, she peeked through the peephole. To her surprise, she saw Carl Henderson standing there, wringing his hands. With a roll of her eyes, Rachel opened the door partway. "What are you doing here?" Carl stepped inside without waiting for an invitation. "I need to talk to you." She closed the door, crossing her arms. "You look spooked. Did something happen?" He avoided her gaze, focusing on the floor. "Rachel, I'm done with this plan. It's spiraling out of control. You're involving James Harrington. His wife is a powerhouse in the business world. If this goes wrong, we could face serious consequences." Rachel snorted. "Don't be dramatic. I've got everything under control. James is handing over money hand over fist. Soon he'll pay even more to keep me quiet. Once Ava's big deal goes through, they'll be swimming in millions. Then we'll take a cut. It's simple. Carl's voice trembled with anger. Have you considered the possibility that Ava might fight back? She has resources you can't even comprehend. Rachel waved him off. Don't worry your little head about that. James is too scared to come clean to Ava. By the time she suspects anything, I'll have what I want. We'll be set for life. Carl pursed his lips, as though weighing his next words carefully. I can't keep lying. I'm out. I'm not going to help you anymore, Rachel. She narrowed her eyes. What do you mean, out? Did you forget how much I know about you, Carl? Your past cons, the debts, the stints with identity fraud? If you bail on me now, I can make your life a living hell. He clenched his fists. I'm not afraid of you. Rachel laughed, a hollow sound echoing in the cramped space. You should be. She took a step closer, her voice lowering to a near whisper. Let's get one thing straight. You owe me for getting you out of that scam in Seattle. I gave you a place to crash when no one else would. You don't get to just walk away. Carl's Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed. For a moment, Rachel wondered if he would lash out, but he merely turned on his heel and stormed to the door, pausing only to spit out a final warning. You're playing a dangerous game, Rachel. Sooner or later, it'll catch up to you. And with that, he was gone, the door slamming shut behind him. Rachel stood there, her breath coming in sharp bursts. For a fleeting second, a pang of doubt rattled her, a sense that maybe Carl was right, that going up against Ava Harrington was akin to waking a sleeping dragon. But Rachel refused to be intimidated. She had come this far, and there was no backing down. The taste of wealth, of status, was already on her tongue. She would not be denied her chance at a new life, even if that meant forging sonograms, staging doctors' visits, and weaving elaborate lies to string James along. Even if that meant crossing lines that, once upon a time, her conscience would never have allowed. Rachel turned out the lamp and let darkness engulf her apartment. She would not dwell on regrets or doubts. In the stillness, she vowed to see this scheme to its bitter end. After all, she had always believed that the world owed her a grand stage, and if she had to manufacture the script herself, then so be it. The next morning, Ava confronted James with the evidence Carl had given her. She waited until he'd had his first cup of coffee, knowing the confrontation would be explosive. They stood in their penthouse kitchen, sunlight streaming in through panoramic windows. James, still in his robe, watched as Ava placed printed photos on the marble countertop. Each one depicted him entering or leaving Rachel's apartment. Explain, Ava demanded, her voice trembling. James paled, his coffee mug shaking in his grasp. He set it down carefully, staring at the incriminating photographs. Ava, I can explain. It's not what you think. Her eyes flashed. Really? So you're not sneaking off to visit Rachel Monroe? You're not giving her money? She's not the woman you've been seeing behind my back while I'm carrying our child? He swallowed hard. There was no point in denying it. The evidence was too clear. I was stupid, Ava. It was after that big fight we had. I was drunk. Ava held up a hand, stopping his excuses. You looked me in the eyes and told me the accusations were lies. You swore there was nothing going on. Yet here we are, with proof that you've been funneling money to her. She reached for the final dagger of betrayal. She's claiming she's pregnant with your child. James's face went ashen. She told me she was. I believed her. I panicked, okay? I didn't want to break your heart. I was going to come clean, eventually. But she demanded money, threatened to ruin everything if I didn't pay up. Ava's chest rose and fell with ragged breaths. So you've been giving her hush money? This is your solution? His eyes were rimmed with tears. I didn't know what else to do. I was scared I'd lose you, lose our baby, lose this life we built. But I realize now how wrong I was. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. She glared at him, fighting back tears of her own. It wasn't just the affair that tore at her. It was the betrayal of trust, the cowardice of his actions. Did you ever stop to think about how this would affect me? My health? My deal? Her voice broke. I thought I knew you, James, but you lied to me over and over. He reached out to touch her arm, but she recoiled. Ava, please. I never wanted to hurt you. She closed her eyes, steadying herself. Her mind drifted to the board meeting scheduled that afternoon, to the flight to San Francisco in less than 48 hours. She couldn't fall apart now. Too much was at stake. She exhaled slowly. I have to focus on my business right now. Once my deal is concluded, we'll figure out what to do about us. James took a step back, panic etched on his face. What about Rachel? Ava's jaw set. Rachel doesn't know who she's dealing with. I have a plan to expose her lies. If she really is pregnant, we'll deal with that legally. But something tells me she's faking the whole thing. James blinked, realization dawning. You think she's lying? Ava scoffed. Carl Henderson said she's done this before. Faked a pregnancy to extort money. You never insisted on a paternity test, did you? He shook his head, shame washing over him. No, I just believed her. Well, that ends now. She gathered the photos and turned on her heel. Stay out of my way, James. I have too much to lose, and if you can't clean up your mess, I will. She left him standing there, anguished and alone. As she made her way to the office, tears blurred her vision. She hated that she still felt love for him. Despite the betrayal, a part of her longed for the marriage they once had. But love wasn't enough to fix this level of deceit. In the privacy of her car, she allowed herself 2 minutes to cry, to release the anger and heartbreak roiling within. Then she wiped her face, squared her shoulders, and looked at her reflection in the rearview mirror. You can do this, she whispered, thinking of her unborn child. She would protect everything she'd built, her business, her baby, her future. And if that meant crushing Rachel Monroe's scheme underfoot, she would not hesitate. Ava Harrington had climbed her way to the top of the tech world with sheer grit and determination. She would not let a conniving mistress and a weak-willed husband destroy her now. Later that day, while Ava immersed herself in back-to-back strategy sessions at AvaTech, James found himself driving across town to confront Rachel. The guilt and shame that had weighed him down now morphed into anger. He'd been manipulated, deceived, and used, and he wasn't going to stand for it any longer. He arrived at Rachel's apartment building around noon, the sun blazing overhead. Knocking on her door, he half expected her not to answer, but the door flew open, revealing Rachel in a silk robe, hair tousled as if she'd just woken up. Oh, James, surprise visit, she purred, leaning against the frame. Did you bring more cash? He pushed past her, entering the cluttered living room. This has gone far enough, he said, voice shaking with fury. I know you're lying. There's no baby. Rachel's lips curled into a slight smile. Now what makes you say that? You can't prove you're pregnant. You refuse to let me come to any doctor appointments. You've shown me no sonogram, no medical paperwork. Even your timing is suspicious. He stared at her, adrenaline coursing through him. I should have demanded proof the minute you told me. She lowered herself onto the sofa, crossing her legs with feigned nonchalance. And yet you didn't, which only shows how desperate you were to keep this quiet, James. So you believed me all along. She flicked her gaze at him. You're more complicit in this than you'd like to admit. He gritted his teeth. Not anymore. I'm done paying. And if you keep insisting you're pregnant, I want a paternity test. Immediately. Rachel's calm facade wavered for an instant. She hadn't counted on him growing a backbone. Fine. We can arrange that test, she said, voice dripping with confidence she didn't actually feel. But that will take time. And until then, you'll be on the hook. Do you really want Ava finding out every sort of detail? James clenched his fists. She already knows everything. Rachel's eyes flashed. What do you mean? He let out a bitter laugh. I told her. She knows I cheated. She knows I've been giving you money. She also knows you might be faking the pregnancy. And guess what? She's coming after you. For the first time, real fear flickered across Rachel's face. She'd counted on Ava being in the dark, or at least too frazzled by business to intervene. So what? She can't prove anything. And even if she tries, I'll spin it as you paying me to keep quiet about the baby. Everyone knows Ava is a power-hungry business shark. I'll say you were terrified of her. James cut her off, stepping closer, anger radiating from him in waves. You don't get it. Ava is smarter than both of us put together. She'll find the holes in your story, and when she does, she'll bury you. Rachel's bravado returned, but her voice was shriller now. I'm not scared of her. I have connections too. Connections like Carl Henderson, James retorted. He's already turned against you. He showed Ava pictures and texts. She knows you're conning me. The color drained from Rachel's cheeks. She had banked on Carl's loyalty, never imagining he'd flip sides. That traitor, she hissed under her breath. James took a long, slow breath. Here's how this is going to go. Either you admit there's no baby, or you produce real proof. If you're lying, you give back the money I gave you and leave us alone. Forever. If you are somehow telling the truth, then we'll figure out a legal arrangement for child support. But I'm not paying you another dime until I have my answer. Rachel stared at him, an icy silence filling the room. She could see her plan unraveling, but she refused to concede. I'll get proof, she said. And when I do, you'll regret threatening me. He stepped back. We'll see, he said coldly. But don't expect another visit from me unless it's at the hospital for a paternity test. I'm done sneaking around. Without another word, he turned and left, slamming the door behind him. Rachel was left alone in her dingy apartment, her carefully crafted story teetering on the brink of collapse. She grabbed her phone and dialed a number she hadn't called in years, a shady acquaintance from her acting days who specialized in forging documents and faking medical records. If James and Ava demanded proof, then proof they would get, no matter how fraudulent it was. As the phone rang, Rachel clung to the last shred of control she had. This scam was supposed to be her golden ticket, the break she'd yearned for. She wasn't about to watch it all slip through her fingers. If Ava Harrington wanted a war, Rachel would give her one, even if it meant forging an entire prenatal history. After all, she was an actress, was she not? 2 days later, Ava and James boarded a private jet en route to San Francisco. Despite the personal turmoil raging between them, Ava insisted on maintaining appearances for the sake of their investors. She needed James by her side, if only to project the image of a supportive family man. Her lawyers had advised her that any hint of scandal could spook potential partners and jeopardize the multi-million-dollar deal. The atmosphere on the jet was tense. Ava sat in a leather seat, laptop open, reviewing last-minute details of her pitch. James sat across the aisle, staring out the window with a haunted expression. Every now and then, he'd glance at Ava, longing to speak, to apologize again, but the words wouldn't come. Finally, Ava closed her laptop. We'll land in an hour. I need to run through my presentation one last time with you. He turned to her, eager to be of some help. Of course, whatever you need. She stood and walked to a small table near the front of the cabin. Spreading out the documents, she gestured for James to join her. Here's the executive summary. We emphasize how AvaTech's product will revolutionize personal data management. Sonora Ventures wants to see a clear path to profitability within 18 months, James nodded, trying to focus. And the total ask is $50 million, right? Ava bristled but kept her composure. Yes, if we finalize this, it will put AvaTech on the map globally. Her gaze flickered to his and he saw the strain in her eyes. James, for the next 72 hours, I need you to be my husband in every sense of the word. For appearances, we have to present a united front. After that, she trailed off, jaw tight. He swallowed. I understand. I'll do my best. They spent the remaining flight time rehearsing slides, discussing Q&A strategies, and meticulously reviewing the terms Ava planned to negotiate. When they finally landed, a black SUV waited to whisk them to the Markham Hotel, where Sonora Ventures had booked a conference suite. As they stepped onto the tarmac, Ava's phone buzzed. She glanced at the caller ID, Carl Henderson. She grimaced, knowing any call from Carl meant drama. Still, she answered, stepping away from James. What is it? She asked, keeping her voice low. I thought you'd want to know. Rachel's doubling down, Carl said, words tumbling out in a rush. She's forging medical documents to prove she's pregnant. Ava exhaled sharply. And how do you know this? I followed her to a seedy place near the old theater district. She was there for hours, then came out with an envelope that looked like ultrasound prints. When she saw me, she freaked out, threatened me. Anger laced Ava's voice. Let her threaten. At least we know she's faking this. Thank you for letting me know, Carl. He cleared his throat. What should I do now? For now, do nothing. Let me handle it. With that, she ended the call, her mind racing. She was steps away from a crucial negotiation that would shape her future. Yet Rachel's scheme loomed like a toxic cloud. The thought that Rachel might wave proof of her pregnancy in front of tabloids, or worse, potential investors, made Ava's stomach churn. She forced herself to focus on the immediate task at hand, the pitch. Let Rachel play her games. Ava would deal with her once she secured the deal. She walked back to James, her face a mask of composure. Come on, we have to go. That evening, in the sumptuous Markham Hotel suite, Ava and James hosted an informal meet and greet with the Sonora Ventures team. Among them was the formidable Simone LeBlanc, the senior partner rumored to have the final say in all large-scale investments. Simone was a tall woman in her early 50s with razor-sharp intelligence radiating from her gray eyes. She shook Ava's hand firmly. I've heard great things about your company, Ms. Harrington, and congratulations on the baby. She nodded at Ava's growing belly. Ava smiled graciously. Thank you, Simone. We're excited about both expansions, family and business. Simone's gaze flicked between Ava and James, clearly assessing their rapport. I trust you two make a strong team, both personally and professionally. That's a key factor for me, the stability of leadership. Ava's breath hitched. She tried to keep her expression neutral, but she couldn't ignore how James's betrayal threatened that very stability. She mustered a confident grin. Absolutely. We stand together in everything. Simone offered a knowing smile, then sipped her champagne. Wonderful. I look forward to tomorrow's formal presentation. Impress me. With that subtle challenge, Simone strolled off to mingle with other attendees. Ava felt her heart pounding. This was it, her chance to secure the future she'd been building toward for years. And she was painfully aware that any hint of scandal or disunity could unravel everything. Later that night, as she lay in the plush hotel bed, exhaustion washed over her. James slept on the couch in the adjoining room, the distance between them more than physical. Ava placed a protective hand over her stomach, feeling the faint flutters of the life growing inside her. She reminded herself why she was fighting so hard, for her baby's future, for the countless employees who believed in Avatech, and for herself. And if Rachel Monroe dared to show her face in San Francisco, brandishing forged documents, Ava would be ready. She might have been blindsided once by her husband's affair, but she would not be taken by surprise a second time. Tomorrow she would crush the pitch, and soon after she would crush Rachel's entire charade. The next morning, Ava stood before a room of key Sonora Ventures partners, including Simone LeBlanc. She wore a sleek, tailored maternity dress that accentuated her growing bump yet exuded confidence. Behind her, an expansive digital screen showcased Avatech's latest prototype and projections. James sat among the audience, along with Martin Lee and Stephanie Nguyen, each ready to bolster Ava's presentation with their expertise. On a side table, fresh croissants, fruit platters, and coffee beckoned, but no one touched them. All eyes were on Ava. She took a steadying breath, recalling the countless rehearsals. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for granting Avatech this opportunity to present our vision. Our mission is simple: to empower individuals with secure data management tools that adapt to their evolving digital lives. Her voice rang clear and poised. Slide by slide, she laid out Avatech's business model, growth strategy, and revenue projections. She cited pilot programs, user testimonials, and future partnerships that could propel them into international markets. Stephanie and Martin contributed seamlessly, elaborating on technical and financial aspects. As she spoke, Simone LeBlanc's expression remained unreadable. The other partners whispered among themselves, scribbling notes. Ava could feel her heartbeat intensifying with each passing moment. She concluded with a slide that displayed a modest tagline, Avatech, where data feels like home. Taking a final breath, she said, "Thank you for your time. I'm now happy to answer any questions." A tense silence followed before Simone spoke. "Your projections are ambitious, Ms. Harrington. How can you guarantee you'll hit these milestones? After all, many startups boast big numbers, only to fall short." Ava inhaled quietly. She'd anticipated this. Sonora Ventures will provide not just capital, but strategic mentorship. With that support, and my team's proven track record of hitting every benchmark thus far, I'm confident we'll surpass our goals. Our user retention metrics already exceed industry standards by 20%, and our pipeline is growing daily. Simone exchanged a glance with one of her partners, then nodded. Very well. We'll step out to discuss internally. Please, help yourselves to refreshments. Ava exhaled, her shoulders relaxing slightly as Simone and the other partners filed out. She turned to James, who gave her a tentative thumbs up. Martin patted her shoulder. You nailed it. Stephanie grinned. If they don't invest, they're crazy. Ava managed a small smile but kept her guard up. She knew from experience that deals could fall apart in the final moments. For now, all she could do was wait. 20 minutes later, Simone and the partners returned. They sat in their seats, faces serious. Simone addressed Ava directly. We've made our decision. Everyone in Ava's team leaned forward in unison. Simone's lips curved into a faint smile. Congratulations. We're prepared to move forward with a $50 million investment in AvaTech. Ava's heart soared. She heard someone, maybe Stephanie, let out a whoop of excitement. Martin clapped and James beamed at her, momentarily forgetting all tension between them. This was the moment she'd fought for, through months of negotiations and intense preparations. A sense of overwhelming relief and triumph washed over her. She maintained her composure, shaking Simone's hand firmly. Thank you. We won't let you down. Simone's gaze flicked to Ava's belly, then back to her eyes. I'm counting on it, she said with a warm smile. The rest of the day passed in a flurry of paperwork, handshakes, and celebratory toasts. By evening, Ava and her team returned to their hotel to freshen up before a formal dinner with the Sonora Ventures group. Ava parted from the others at her suite, eager to call her parents and share the good news. As she slipped into her room, her phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. Congratulations on your deal, but don't get too comfortable. I have proof of my pregnancy. I'm going to the press unless you pay up. Rachel Ava stared at the screen, her euphoria evaporating. She immediately forwarded the message to James. Then she dialed Carl Henderson, who picked up after a few rings. She's threatening to go public, Ava said without preamble. We need to stop her. Carl's voice wavered. I heard. She got some fake medical records. She plans to leak them to a tabloid if you don't comply. Ava clenched her jaw. Let her try. I'll schedule a paternity test if she claims the baby is James's. We'll expose her as a fraud. Carl hesitated. Rachel won't go down easily. She's cornered. People do desperate things when they're cornered. Ava's voice was ice. So do I, Carl. And I have far more resources at my disposal. This ends tonight. She hung up and paced the suite, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The deal was signed. Her company was safe. Now she could fully focus on dismantling Rachel's con. She dialed a private investigator she'd quietly hired days ago, giving him the green light to confront Rachel with the real evidence of her deceit. The plan was set. They would demand an immediate medical examination from a reputable clinic. If Rachel refused or the test revealed her lie, they'd have everything they needed to press charges for extortion. James burst into the room minutes later, his expression grave. I saw the text. Are you okay? Ava turned to him, steel in her eyes. I'm fine, but Rachel's done. I'm calling her bluff tonight. He nodded, relief mingled with apprehension. What can I do? She paused, measuring him. For all his faults, he was still the father of her unborn child, and she sensed genuine remorse in his eyes. Stand by me, tell the truth, and don't waver. We face her together. He swallowed hard, then stepped closer and gently took her hand. I promise. A flicker of warmth glowed in her chest, something like hope. The war was coming to a head, but Ava felt ready. She had built a multi-million-dollar empire from scratch. She would not let a conniving mistress tear apart her family and legacy. That night, as she and James made their way to the celebratory dinner, Ava's mind drifted to the events that would unfold. Rachel's next move would be her last, and by this time tomorrow, Ava intended to have proof of the mistress's deceit. One way or another, the woman who had lied about a baby would finally face the consequences of playing with the Harringtons' lives. And so, in a final clash of lies and revelations, Rachel's forged pregnancy was exposed under the unyielding scrutiny of truth and medical science. Her scheme in tatters, she fled Silver Pines to escape the legal storm Ava unleashed. Though the scars of betrayal remained, Ava and James found a fragile path forward: counseling, honest conversations, and a renewed commitment to protect the life growing inside Ava. Most importantly, Ava Tech soared to new heights, backed by Sonora Ventures investment. With her business thriving and her baby soon to arrive, Ava discovered a resilience she never knew she possessed. Thank you for watching this gripping real-life drama. If you found our story captivating, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for more tales of scandal, ambition, and unstoppable determination. Your support means everything to us as we continue to bring you the most riveting stories on YouTube.